Well, it seems like TFT has been infiltrated by an evil cult, worshipping, as usual, these cultists never change, some demon or devil god that gets fatter the more of them there are in the field. Nothing we can do about it but join the cult. Alternatively, you can become enlightened or embrace the spirituality of your inner ninja. Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. Today we're going to be talking about patch 10.19's must-play comps and why they've been so successful. Make sure to play these comps when you can, and you will definitely rise in rank. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance for a top 4 finish, netting you that sweet, sweet LP. Positioning, items, and scouting are still your most important tools in this game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. In this video, we will talk about each comp, a general playstyle guide, look at items they use and their positioning. This is our first must-play for Set 4, and things are really fluid still. A few comps have risen on top of others, but not by a long shot, and we will definitely go into the honorable mentions to go over comps that didn't make the list. Stay tuned till the end to learn the most. Before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that we have a Discord community and a new subreddit that's growing really fast. We have you to thank for that, and we want to continue building our community and helping you to be a part of it, so make sure you check the link in the description below. And with all that said, let's dive right into our top comp for 10.19, and it is Cultists. Remember the cult we were talking about? They really like Galio and feed him their HP to make him as fat as possible. After a point though, he is not hungry anymore, just thirsty, and he feeds on your opponent's fears. The comp starts early on and is extremely flexible. With units like Elise and Twisted Fate, you can get the bronze trade out early and it will carry you through the early game with the extra damage and frontline bulk Galio provides. If you can get a Jarvan or an early Kennen to enhance Keeper for Elise, it's even better. As you move on to the mid game, you have a few options. Remember when we said Cultist is flexible? Well, it's because there are multiple carries in the comp, with multiple item paths. If you seem to be getting a lot of AP items, you should go for Evelynn carry and find a Zed to give her some shade. If it's bows you're getting, then Kalista is the way to go. If it's swords, Jhin says hello. The one constant is that it would be wise to itemize Aatrox with frontline items, since if he casts twice, you have probably won the fight. In the late game, you employ units that help your chosen carry, namely Duelist, Sharpshooter, or Shade. If you can get 3 Shade for Evelynn, even better. Since there's a legendary Duelist and Shade, it's good to look for Lee Sin or Kayn. This reason, along with the 9 cultist win condition, is why this comp wants to go to level 9 if possible, even if it's late in the game. Going to 8 is mandatory, and if you're in a 6 cultist variant, investing more in sharpshooters, shades, or duelists, and foregoing 9 cultists, you can slow roll for a 3-star carry, like Jhin, Evelynn, Kalista, or even Jinx if you go sharpshooters. Going into chosen for cultists, your best bet is usually an early cultist chosen, especially Elise, since her early keeper synergy will net you a really strong early game. You can switch your chosen later, but you're giving up on the 9 cultist dream, unless you get lucky and find another higher cost cultist chosen, which is not advised. If you don't find an early cultist chosen, you can go into the build and play it as a nice to have sideline. A sharpshooter chosen with Jhin carry and 6 cultist is, for example, an excellent build. Blitzcrank is gone. You should still position around Aatrox and try to avoid getting your Kalista or Jhin pulled in. Quicksilver is really strong since it gets rid of that particular headache. Clumping is fairly strong in this set in general, and positioning mainly revolves around proper leaning towards the enemy, Zephyr control, and protecting your carry. Make sure your Evelynn is landing in a good spot, and remember that Shades land faster than Assassins since they teleport. One really good part of Cultist early and mid game is Pyke positioning. You should place your Pyke in a spot that allows for him to ult through most of the team. Often, that spot is actually opposite of any backline units, as he will come to the front line, then ult through everyone to reach the backline and put pressure on carries. The 6 Cultist version is really flexible, but here are some versions that work, depending on your carry. This is one of the sharpshooter boards you can make with a chosen sharpshooter, or a no-chosen version of the Shade version here. Remember that your chosen will greatly affect your combination of traits, but positioning principles remain the same. Protect your carry, make good use of Pyke and Aatrox, and off you go. We already mentioned a few good items for the comp. Starting BF Sword is good since it can be made into something useful for any of the potential carries, like GA, Infinity Edge, Giant Slayer, or Gunblade. Evelynn likes AP items, and Gunblade is really strong on her to allow her to disregard the plethora of AoE damage in this set. Jhin and Kalista really like Quicksilver, since you can then corner them and avoid pesky Jarvan, Zephyrs, etc. Kalista is really strong with attack speed items, especially if you find duelists like Gwynsu's, Hurricane, and Rapid Fire Cannon. Make sure you build some defensive items on Aatrox like Ionic Spark, Bramble, and Gargoyle's Stoneplate. This comp looked a bit weak coming out of PBE, but it ended up really strong so far. It's a bit tricky to maneuver in the early game, often losing out, but if you tough it out, it beats a lot of stuff, including Cultist, if you use a set for that Galio. Enlightened are strong early only if you find Aurelia, and even then, they're tough since they often lack damage. This is also a chosen jungling comp, where it is highly unlikely you will keep your first chosen throughout the game, unlike Cultist. So, to go into this build early, you usually have found a 2-star Janna and an Aurelia early, and your items look a lot like the Sword Throne, meaning they're mostly swords. Talon likes swords. Navigate the early game as fast as possible, with lose streaking being a really good option. Enlightened can lose fairly quickly, meaning they often manage to take out a couple of units early due to Aurelia keeping people down long enough. If you find an early Shen at level 5, even better, since Adept can help you even more. In the mid game, besides frenzied leveling to find Talon easier, you should pick up Morgana if you see her, and even itemize her if you have a lot of AP items. She can help you through the mid game, especially if you combine her with Lux for Divine and Dazzler. As you probably noticed, with traits like Adept and Dazzler, this comp really messes with your opponent's strength, weakening them enough that your reduced power early can be enough to win or lose gracefully. Going into late game, you go all in towards building your Talon and finding Yone for that third Adept, which will make your messing with your opponent's stats even worse. As for Chosen for Enlightened, you will go through anything that gets you safely through early. You generally don't want an Enlightened Chosen since all 4 units you will use are really strong on their own. Adept, Assassin, or Dazzler are strong options that may change your comp towards other directions. For example, if you get Adept on Aurelia, you can forego Yone. If you get Dazzler on Morgana or Lux, you can go for Dazzler with an Ezreal. You can even go for 4 Adept, which is kind of insane. Lots of choices seems to be the theme this set. This is one of the more spaced out comps, since the main carry is an assassin. Yone likes to be on his own like the emo swordsman he is, and Morgana can hold her own for a bit if she casts on a lot of people and has items. The main 2 concerns with your positioning here is putting Aurelia where she will cast her ultimate on as many people as possible, not unlike Kassadin from set 3. The other part is Talon landing on the juiciest enemy first, so that he starts jumping quickly. He's basically Darius from set 3, but better, so think of him like that. Talon wants Infinity Edge for the most part, with Deathblade being pretty good too. Bloodthirster or Hand of Justice are fairly important too, since we want him to heal between jumps. Quicksilver is one of the best third items, so that he doesn't get CC'd when he lands, something he's very vulnerable to. Morgana on Morello is set 3 Cassio essentially, where the item completely transforms her into a monster. Other AP items and even GA are good on her as well. Yone might do magic damage with his first ult, but the consecutive spell is what you focus on. He's good with anything that gets him to ult faster, but also scales his damage. Attack speed is good, AP is good too. If you really want, you can even transfer Morgana items to him, not Morello though. I think we've seen Zed go crazy before, but then it required a spatula. Well, now it doesn't, and it's so strong. Also, getting 880 Zed is pretty cool. This is another one of those slightly difficult early comps, but if you find your stuff, it gets really good really fast. The comp focuses on buffing Zed with attack speed, giving him attack speed items and lifesteal, and unleashing him upon the world. Most of the spirit units besides Ahri can be found early, so look for them on top of Zed. You can go through the early game by using some kind of frontline like Vanguards, but you will soon forgo frontline for full backline in this comp. In the mid game, you should have your Zed items for the most part, and you should be re-rolling to get him to 3-star. Since the comp only needs 7 units for its final form, including Kayn, you can stay level 6 for a while, slow rolling for Zed and perhaps Teemo. Once you have your 3-star Zed, you should move on leveling to find Kayn and try for that 4-shade dream. With shades instantly teleporting to the back, you can use Evelynn and Kayn as intermittent frontliners since they can take a beating, then disappear every 3rd hit. Itemizing them as frontliners is not too terrible since Zed is usually enough in the damage department. The dream chosen for this comp is Shade Zed, obviously, but any of the shades is a good chosen, to go for 4 shade when finding Kayn. A Spirit chosen is not bad either, and it will leave you some room to add a frontliner or a Mystic depending on your needs. As we said, it's full backline for this one. Of course, if you have any variation of Chosen that allows for a frontliner, it's not a bad idea to use one. Both Aatrox and Sejuani have good CC that will help Zed chew through people undisturbed and faster. The reason we position Kayn in front is that he appears as close to the front line as possible, so that everything turns and hits him while Zed wreaks havoc. Like ye old Master Yi, Rapid Fire Cannon is core to this build. Zed steals all the AD he will need, so you can start building defensive afterwards, with Bloodthirster and Guardian Angel being best. Evelynn can be given items like Ionic Spark and Gunblade, whereas Kayn is best with tanky items like Sunfire, Gargoyle, Stoneplate, and the like, operating like a faux frontliner. That's it for our must-play comps. Remember, all these are extremely contested comps. Cultist is actually doable for even 3 people in the lobby, but Spirit Zed, not so much, unless more than one person lucks out on the shade chosen and there are enough bows to go around. There are a few honorable mentions you should try out as well this patch. Let's see. Dusk with anything. There's a multitude of Dusk comps, and even though it got nerfed in PvE, it's still a really good top 2 to 4 comp with win potential if you see 3-star Riven. Yasuo is definitely a carry. Exiled Duelist is really good with a Duelist chosen Yasuo early, focusing on later finding Yone for that juicy 80% lifesteal. Sharpshooters are really strong with Jhin or Jinx carry. With a Sharpshooter chosen, they can be an offshoot of Cultists and even run 6 Cultists with the right chosen. Hunter Brawler with Ashe and or Warwick carry has made waves, but it is really difficult to pull off. If you do though, Ashe can decimate people, especially if you fit some Elderwood in there with Nunu or Ashe chosen. That's it for this video. We will be uploading every week on Wednesday and Sunday. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out our TFT content on YouTube and our high elo coaches on ProGuides.com. If you have feedback for us, comment below and we will be happy to read what you have to say. Now get out there and farm some LP using the must-play comps you saw here today.